Welcome to Nurse Burnout Solutions, the show that empowers you to beat stress, reclaim your energy, and discover lasting fulfillment in your nursing career. I'm your host, Betty McLean. I'm a nurse with over 20 years of experience, and I'm also a certified life and certified burnout coach. I'm here to share expert insights with you, a lot of practical tools, and some inspiring stories. So join me as we navigate the challenges of a career in healthcare, and I help you find renewed purpose and resiliency, one episode at a time. All right, welcome back. So last week on the podcast, we talked about the early and middle stages of burnout. Today, we're going to talk about the late and final stages of burnout. Again, this is the way that I categorize it based on all the things that I have read about burnout and on my burnout certification. But if you are in a place where you are feeling like you need a mental health diagnosis, you are dealing with a lot of signs and symptoms of PTSD, unresolved trauma, I really encourage you to speak to a licensed mental health professional and get started on that healing journey. If you are not sure if you should talk to a therapist, you are welcome to reach out to me and I will help you kind of determine what your next best steps are, whether that's working with a life coach like myself, or whether that's reading a really good book, or whether that's seeing a therapist. So let's dive into the late stage of burnout. So I have four categories that I talk about burnout. I talk about the early stages where you're overworking and overcompensating, the middle stage where you're denying there's a problem, and then we get to late stage. If you have not addressed your burnout, you have not healed, you get into what's called late stage. And this is where we tend to withdraw. Your social life will become small to non-existent. You will need to feel relief from stress. And so that can look like over drinking, overeating, numbing out on social media or on TV. Because at the point when you're into that late stage burnout, the irritability and the denial and the anger that you were experiencing middle stage burnout becomes too much. And so the brain says, no more, we're just going to push away, we're going to withdraw and numb out from it. This will come with behavior changes. And your friends and your family may express concern. May find yourself realizing, I used to be happy. I used to be, so much more calm, and now I'm angry all the time. Or, this kind of thing didn't used to bother me, and now I explode, or I constantly have to numb out. If you're being honest with yourself, you can see the behavior change. And this is a perfect time to reach out for help. The other thing that can happen when you're in this late stage burnout is the brain is just so tired and so overwhelmed and so burned out that you begin to depersonalize yourself and others. Your brain gets to a point where it no longer can see your own needs. Your brain gets to the point where it just wants to numb out and withdraw and not be a part of whatever's going on. And so you can lose awareness of your needs and the needs of those around you. It becomes really hard to have productive relationships. It becomes hard to enjoy work and to show up fully. And this is really a point at which you want to get a therapist, a skilled life coach like myself, somebody on your side to help start to reconnect to the pain in a way that is productive. Because unfortunately, we have to go through the pain to heal it. Now, having said that, you do not have to experience trauma when you are healing. The pain of dealing with the emotions of burnout, it will not overwhelm you if it is done in a way that is supportive, the way a therapist or a skilled life coach can do. Okay. But it does require some courage. It requires being brave and raising your hand and saying, that's me. I'm not okay. And I'm ready for support. And this is a beautiful time to do it because at this point in burnout, generally speaking, even if you've been managing stress with really unproductive coping mechanisms, you're still managing. Okay. A lot of times we get in this stage, we will really lean heavily. This was my experience. I really leaned heavily on drinking more alcohol, numbing out with food, numbing out with movies and Netflix and all that kind of stuff because I just didn't want to feel the pain. All it takes is that little itty bitty spark of I want something better to reach out to someone and say, okay, I'm ready for support. And then if that person is a skilled therapist, a skilled life coach, they can provide you the tools and the support and do it in a way that feels productive, not heavy and painful. Okay. So just know that recovering at this stage, yes, it's hard work, but just like learning to run a marathon or, you know, getting a six pack or, anything that we do in life, having a baby, it's hard work, but it's worthwhile. Same thing with recovering from burnout. It is hard work and it is so worthwhile because very quickly you will start to feel more calm, feel more joy, feel more peace. Okay. Now, if you just zoomed right through early stage, middle stage, late stage, you're going to get to the what I categorize as the final stage of burnout. And at this point, you are probably going to start experiencing physical symptoms in your body because we can only manage the emotion of stress for so long before it becomes part of our physiology. So you may start feeling a lot of depression. Anxiety might be at a diagnosable stage. Like you may be diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. You might need antidepressants. A lot of people in this stage, you just feel empty. Like you have nothing more to give, you have nothing more to contribute. And it's just literally a day-to-day slog for you. You'll start getting some what I call the physical burnout syndrome, which is insomnia, adrenal fatigue. You'll start being diagnosed, or you might get diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, panic attacks, the clinical depression that we talked about. At this point, if that's you, this is not the time to like get on TikTok for inspiration. This is not the time to read a book from some inspirational author, although I'll say there's a lot of really good ones. But this is not for you. For you at this point, you want the whole team on board. And it's going to require a lot of courage and a lot of bravery. And you might have to have your best friend or your spouse or somebody like help you with this because there's probably not a lot left inside to give. But at this point, you're going to want to be talking to your primary care provider, so your doctor, your nurse practitioner, because at this point, you're probably needing medical diagnosis. And I would tell them, I think this is burnout, right? You're also going to want to be speaking to a therapist who specializes in burnout, who specializes in trauma recovery, who specializes in clinical depression, panic attacks, anxiety disorders. A skilled life coach like myself can be helpful at this point, but at this point, you're probably going to be working with multiple people. So your primary care provider, a therapist, and or a life coach, depending on how well you're coping and how well you're functioning. So if that is you, now is the time to like get on the phone call, call every office you know, get in to see a therapist, get on your primary care provider's schedule, get in and see them. Because at this point, you need all hands on deck. And I will just say, if at this stage you are feeling like you would rather not be in this life anymore, if you are feeling suicidal, if you think the world is a better place without you, like you don't want to be here anymore, that's the burnout talking. Okay. You have so much more to offer. So if that is you, I want you to, if you're in the United States, I want you to call 988. That is the mental health hotline and just get resources on your side. Okay. Reach out to your best friend. Be like, I know this sucks, but this is the thought that I had in my brain. Okay. We want to hear from you. Okay. If you call me with suicidal thoughts, I don't know you. I will refer you to the hotline and I will get you resources. But ultimately, if you're in that really dark place where you believe that you don't want to be here anymore, give yourself 30 days. Okay. Tell yourself you're not allowed to check out until you've had at least 1 or 2 sessions with a therapist. Okay. Just reach out, see what you can do with a little bit of courage and just a little bit of effort. Because I promise the other side of burnout, there's light, there is joy, there is actually enjoying your job and having the energy to do it. I've seen so many people get to that place where they do love their job. They find value in their work. They love being a nurse again. I've had that experience. I thought I was going to have to leave nursing, but I didn't. I enjoy my job. I know that I'm adding value to my patient's life. You can have that too. Healing from burnout is a relatively simple process. It feels hard because when you're in those middle and late stage burnout, and definitely when you're in the final stage of burnout, there's not a lot of extra energy for much of anything. So I want you to muster those little tiny sparks of courage, those little tiny sparks of bravery, just a little bit of energy, and make a couple of phone calls. Call the 988 number if you are feeling suicidal. Call the therapist that you saw like 10 years ago. Get on their books. Call your primary care doctor and be like, you know what? I know we talked about adrenal fatigue. I know we're trying medication, but I think I'm in burnout and I need support. Okay. And then reach out to me. Tell me that you're making these phone calls and I will do what I can to support you. Please follow me on my social medias. I try to provide a lot of supportive content there. So you're welcome to follow me on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and I'm also on LinkedIn. And of course, come back each week because we're going to be talking about all the things surrounding being a nurse, all the things that come up when we are dealing with burnout and dealing with just everything that goes with being a nurse. I'm here to support you. I know that there is a beautiful life available to you if you get the right support. So please, please do whatever you need to do to get that support around you and to heal from burnout. At any stage, it is very, very possible. So I look forward to talking with you next week. And I hope that you just take all of this information and just use it to fuel your recovery. I will talk to you next week. Thanks for listening today to Nurse Burnout Solutions. Remember, I really believe that all stress is manageable and burnout is not inevitable. If you are struggling with stress or in burnout, I can help. Check out the show notes for ways that we can connect and get you the support that you deserve.